big smiles, big smiles, happy times. All right. Here we go. It's time for another edition of MMA Talk. I'm Brandon Coates, joined again by Isaac Nanez from Guerilla MMA over in Sunland Park. It's where I train, and it's a great place to go. It's quite fun. It's enjoyable when I'm not hurt. Which Isaac and I were just talking. I finally have my MRI scheduled for today, so we're going to see how that goes. But yeah, so, kind of what we're doing now is we'll talk about UFC 228, which is coming up tomorrow. You've got Woodley taking on Till. The co-headlining fight, just found out earlier, canceled. And then we'll also, delve into a little bit of, UFC 229 and maybe even the Ultimate Fighter a little bit too. Because the debut of, I can't remember, this Tuesday or the previous, this week or the previous week that the first episode aired for the latest season of the Ultimate Fighter. But Isaac Nanez, owner, proprietor, all-around good guy from Guerilla MMA. It's over in Sunland Park. Basically, if you take I-10 to the Sunland Park exit, you take the Sunland Park exit, you start heading west, go past Donovan. When you get to the racetrack, you take a right. And then it's back in that area right there where the warehouses are and stuff. And if you show up on a weekday, you might see me running around the neighborhood, because that's how you warm up. So anything you want to specifically play? I mean, you guys do everything out there. It's not just boxing. It's not just wrestling. It's not just jiu-jitsu. It's, if you want one specific one, you can do that. If you want to do all of them, you can do that as well.
Yeah, we have everything. We have all facets of fighting. We have, we are going to start offering the women's self-defense calls on Saturdays, so get the time down. Right now what we are doing is a donation-based gift class and anti-bullying. So parents come in, they pay what they can, and everybody
can afford, $100 a session or something like that.
A lot of these martial arts gyms are pricey, so we want to give back to the community. We have this donation-based program, so it's, do what you can, defend themselves with confidence, discipline, self-control, things like that.
So if you want to reach out to them, Instagram, you can reach out to them on their Facebook as well, Guerilla MMA. Probably the easiest way is to get a hold of you. Maybe. Yeah,
you can just call this in with my number, 959-517.
So yeah, and they provide everything out there. So it's sometimes you get where it's like, oh, like, hey, like, go check out this gym, go try this thing out. And when it comes to when I endorse something, I like it to be something that I've either tried or I do on a regular basis. And Isaac, I've been going to the gym now for 2 years, I believe, out there actually. And for the past year, we've been dealing with a shoulder injury. So we'll hopefully get those answers quickly. But no, I go out there. That's where I train. I give him my money so that we can do stuff. And it's it's a ton of fun going out there. And it's been like, I understand if you want to do CrossFit. I understand if you want to do regular workouts. But for me, that's not for me. I want to do something more with a workout, and that's one of the best things of going out to Guerilla MMA is that you can do all different kinds of fighting styles. It can be boxing, it can be wrestling, it can be jiu-jitsu. Like, you can learn all of these different things while you're getting a solid workout. Yeah, with a good group of people too. Like, it's a solid group of people that are out there.
Yeah, and you don't feel like you're working out a lot of the time. And that's a lot of people tell me, it went by so fast, and you by quick, you get over it, because you're learning, keeping your mind active, and it's fun. It's really plain. It's adult and eat.
Yeah, it is. It totally is.
You learn a bunch of cool stuff, and you're having fun, and people are joking, and sometimes it gets intense, and you yell, and we're running around doing cool stuff, and we're having fun, joking around, but it's always fun. Energy's always up.
I highly recommend it. All right, so let's get into UFC 228. You've got Woodley taking on Till, the co-headlining fight. It was supposed to be for, I believe, the women's flyweight championship, which was canceled because Montano was taken to the hospital right prior to weigh-ins. I mean, Isaac and I were talking. There's technically 2 sets of weigh-ins, and so one of the things that I like to bring to MMA Talk is not only truly talk MMA to the people who know it, but also if you want to learn about certain things, if there's questions that you have, and this is one question I have. So technically, there's 2 weigh-ins that happen. So what are they?
So you have the official weigh-in, and that's because a lot of people will miss weight, and so they changed it to the morning. They have the official weigh-in, and let's say you're off pound to pound, they give you a few hours to cut until the cutoff. I don't know how far into it is, but Then they have the ceremonial weigh-ins later on when you go in, they do the face-off and they do facing and all that stuff. But then when they did that before, it was just the one weigh-in.
Mhm.
It used to be just the one weigh-in, but so many people would miss weight because it's hard to cut weight.
Yeah.
And so you can't always expect everybody to just you're basically killing yourself. You're dehydrating yourself and you're starving yourself, and that's kind of how you die.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I would say water and food are pretty important things.
yeah.
Okay, so you got the two weigh-ins. You got the early morning one, and that's the one that she, where she was taken to the hospital because of it was on the Wikipedia page here. It basically says before the weigh-ins, she was transported to hospital due to the effects of weight cutting, and the title bout was then canceled. Because she's coming from bantamweight, so she truly was having to cut more so.
That's a lot.
Which can be can be very dangerous to do that. And Joe Rogan has talked about people might think of steroids as such a big problem, but he sees people missing weigh-in and stuff like that being a far bigger issue.
Oh, yeah.
Like it's happened before where it almost it's I don't think it's been confirmed, but it's been talked about as a strategy where it's oh well I'll miss my weight anyway. I'll miss it by 7 pounds. I'll forfeit some of my purse, some of what I was going to be winning in the fight anyway. But I can come in 7 pounds heavier, which gives me a major advantage over this person. And Joe Rogan has talked about they need to cut that crap out. Like that needs to be annihilated. But is there a way that they can do that?
There's pre-weighing. One FC started doing it, and they had some fighters die from cutting weight. So they do a pre-weigh-in, they weigh you in the beginning of the week, and if you're off then, you can't fight.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're too far from your designated weight, you're not allowed to fight.
Like if you're like on Monday and you fight's on Saturday, if you're 15 pounds over, or it's whatever a set designated amount would be, like maybe a percentage of your weight, they're not going to allow you to even proceed after that point because it's too dangerous to try to drop that much in just that 1 week.
Yeah, I know, and it is, and especially in long-term effects, people don't realize this, that the brain is surrounded by fluid, and if you dry out all the fluid, there's more of a chance that you have brain injury.
You'll bounce off your skull easier.
Yeah, so that's a big issue. You cut weight, you dry yourself out, and then you're taking repeated shots to the head. That's dangerous stuff.
Okay, so that fight was canceled, but then the big fight tomorrow, we still have Woodley taking on Till. You were saying that this is going to be a chess match between these two guys. So describe the chess match. What's Woodley bringing? What's Till bringing?
Woodley's really explosive, but more than anything, he doesn't get drawn in by the crowd. He doesn't get pushing to making those mistakes, and he is dangerous in terms of with his striking. He'll knock you out. If he touches you with his hands, he's gonna hurt you. And he's got a crazy block level where he gets you on the ground and he has heavy pressure. Now Till is explosive in other ways. He will kick with his left hand, very McGregor-ish like that.
Mm-hmm.
McGregor-esque.
Mm-hmm.
But and then his knees, his elbows, and he's real heavy on top too. So these guys, they have to be careful with one another. Mm-hmm. They can't get drawn into brawls.
I was say we're not going to end up with one of those. Who was the heavyweight fight that just happened? It was Ngannou. Somebody, I'm blanking on the guy's name, but it was like I think it was, and it was just it was the most boring fight. Joe Rogan kept saying in the middle of round 2, he's like this is the amount of punches that have been landed in this fight. These are the amount of punches that have been landed like ever in the worst fights. Like this is the least amount.
Wow. And
they were like dominating that. And that was the problem, is that those two guys have such thunder in their hands.
Yeah.
They didn't want to get close enough to possibly get clipped. So, but that couldn't possibly happen in this fight. Like it's for a championship. I mean, the big thing is that one wasn't for a championship. So this one you would really need. You'd see some pressure coming from somebody like Till, especially coming from somebody like Till, who he's undefeated. His record is 17-0-1. He recently beat Stephen Thompson, and he also recently beat the Cowboy, Donald Cerrone.
Yeah.
He beat him back about a year ago. It was October of 2017. So clearly he's going to do whatever he can, because it's, looking at majority of his fights. Granted, 3 of the last 4, actually, I take it back. Actually, 4 out of the last 5 have gone to decision. He won the 3 decisions, and then he had the 1 draw, and then he had the KO of Donald Cerrone. But then you look at a guy like Tyron Woodley, who he's sitting at 18-3-1. Recently beat Damian Maia. Also recently beat Stephen Thompson, the same guy. He had a draw with Stephen Thompson. And if you look at Woodley's most recent fights, I mean, he's beating the who's who of the division. You got Robbie Lawler in there, Kelvin Gastelum in there. He did lose to Rory McDonald, but he also has victories over Carlos Condit, Josh Koscheck. Of course, Koscheck won. We're talking 5 years ago. Yeah. At that point was when that fight happened.
I was there for that Condit fight too in Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you heard it when he kicked and Condit checked. You heard it. And I don't know if I heard the snap, but you can hear it. Woodley's explosive, and he hits you anywhere on your body. It's gonna hurt. Condit's a good kickboxer. He checked that kick correctly. He did what he was supposed to do, and it's still good. So just that's just the
that's how the fight ended. Yeah. It's in the books as a TKO due to knee injury. Yeah. So it's going to be a big fight. Who do you got with? The question's coming.
Yeah, I know. It's okay. I kind of, I'm stuck on both of them. I really, really, really like both of them. But just get the Guerilla, Darren Till. I have to stay low.
Going with Darren Till.
Yeah, because I mean it is that even in my mind with both those guys. I can't. This is gonna be a good fight. I mean, a technical fight, the layperson may get a little bit bored, but understanding strategy and movement and the feints and stuff that we work.
Well, and that's the thing that it does bother me sometimes, especially because when you would watch an old Pride fight, you would see that the crowd would understand a lot of that stuff that's going on, and they would. Where over here in the States, it would be considered a boring fight. Now, that heavyweight fight we were talking about, the Ngannou-Lewis fight, that was a boring fight. They wouldn't even engage. Yeah. Like, there was nothing happening in that fight. But there's a difference between that, and there's a difference between strategy and throwing feints and doing other things to try to throw the other person off of their game, or to try to get them to do something that like all of a sudden their hands drop, like whatever it may be that you're doing. It's a strategy. And that's the one thing that can be bothersome about watching UFC, especially if you're watching it in a bar, where people are watching it and you get the people who are booing, or you get the people who don't know what the hell they're talking about. Like maybe they took 1 or 2, like they went and took a couple of classes, and all of a sudden they know, I know what a Kimura is. So every single thing that they're saying is go for the Kimura. Like
the guys that take the introductory class and then never come back.
All of a sudden, but they know everything, right? They know absolutely everything that when it comes to it. There was a kid. There was a fight here. I think it was last year, and it was one of Jennifer Hahn's fights, and she was the last on the card, and it was one of those ones where they had it on. I think it was ESPN Espanol, and so then the headlining fight happened, but for some Jennifer Hahn wasn't on that. Like she wasn't broadcast on TV, but they had her as the headliner because she's El Paso's sweetheart. So we were watching that, but during that fight, there was this one kid who's just going uppercut hook, and I could tell this kid probably played a video game. And his magic move, how when you're playing Street Fighter, when you're playing anything. Remember the old Dreamcast Let's Get Ready to Rumble video game and all that stuff. And there's always the one combo that you can do. That's the money combo to take somebody out. I'm that kid totally is uppercut hook. He's that kid. You know what's coming in the video game. He's just trying to find the uppercut hook. That's it. And there was that, and then and then there was a lady there, and I'm guessing it was this guy's mom. His name was Arturo. Because the whole damn fight, she's going, Arturo, buddy, Arturo! And she's 10 rows behind us, and it was the whole fight. Arturo won, so good for him, but he did not hit that guy enough in the body, at least according to his mom, because she would not stop with the Arturo, buddy!
I listen to my mom, though. My mom's scary. So. She's the sweetest woman on earth, but she's got that mom power.
Well, so we have also on the fight card tomorrow, Diego Sanchez is fighting one of the original UFC Ultimate Fighter alums on that one. He's been a guy that's always kind of fascinated me because he started out, I think it was Diego the Dream Sanchez, and then he didn't like that nickname. He wanted to be considered more of a bad guy. So they changed his nickname to Diego the Nightmare Sanchez.
It was the other way around.
Was it? I could have sworn it was the Dream.
He started off as a Nightmare.
Well, either way, he ended up switching it.
Yeah.
And he still has one of the best fights. One of his fights, the one against KLAQ is still one of my favorite fights because the two guys are just. It was very reminiscent of the Stephan Bonner, Forrest Griffin, Ultimate Fighter final fight. That first season. Because, I mean, they're both bloodied up, and KLAQ was always that guy. Like, he has a cinder block for a head. Because that dude just takes punches, and then he doesn't stop. Like, he just keeps going forward. He just keeps going forward. But, yeah, so, he had, KLAQ, that fight was just amazing. And so, Diego Sanchez right now, it's been kind of a spotty record. He started off solid. Very solid. He started off 17-0. But he has since dropped to 27-11. So he is 10-11 in his past 21 fights. Again, he's fighting like the recognizable names. It's Josh Koscheck, it's John Fitch, it's KLAQ, BJ Penn, Paulo Thiago, Martin Kampmann, Jake Ellenberger, Jim Miller. Jim Miller also on the fight card for tomorrow night as well. But you've got Diego Sanchez coming off of a 2-fight losing streak. He actually lost to Matt Brown and the before that, Elia Quinta, the guy that stepped in to fight Khabib a few months ago.
He doesn't evolve. He didn't evolve. When everybody else kind of up their game, or he just has these new ways of talent.
Just stayed the same?
Yeah, he just kind of hasn't evolved. He's brought some rudimentary. I mean, he's tough and he's good. And another great fighter here that people don't realize is he fought Nick Diaz. And it was probably one of the best ground matches. Like, it happened on the ground, and it wasn't one of those where people would get bored. I mean, there's a lot of scrambles. They were just fighting the ring for submission. It was really intense. One of the best matches there, but he hasn't grown past that.
Well,
got weirder.
So he's on tomorrow, and so then they also just recently had the newest season of The Ultimate Fighter. And what's funny is I swear it was him, and I hope I'm remembering this right. Otherwise, I'm making it sound like he did something really dickish. But I remember in that first season, I'm not really sure how they planned their food out or anything like that in the house, but I think they just kind of stocked the shelves, and at this time you just kind of ate whatever was there, and you kind of made your own meal. And I remember he went in and he took the asparagus and he cut all the tops off, and he cooked all of the tops, leaving basically the stems where there's not a lot of nutrients. All the nutrients are in the top. And the guys are getting super pissed off. They're like, dude, you know what you were doing. Yeah. Like, you cut all the tops off, then you give everybody the shitty stems of the asparagus. So, but it's crap like that always keeps me coming back to The Ultimate Fighter. But Dana White has said that he thinks this might be the final season of The Ultimate Fighter.
Wow. Okay.
It hasn't been confirmed or anything like that, but he has mentioned that this might be the final season, which would be kind of sad because I think they're about ready to make that jump next year to ESPN. Because remember, ESPN made that huge bid for the UFC. They paid $2 billion. It's a massive amount of money. And that number is probably completely way off. But ESPN put in a huge bid. And so they got it. So all of the stuff that's on Fox Sports, FS1, and stuff like that for the UFC, that's all going to be going to ESPN at this point. Which means they're not going to have to go back to ESPN. Because
they might just say it's generate interest.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, like, just to get people like, oh, this is the final season, I need to get in there and watch. But you got the heaviest of the heavies in this season. You got the heavyweights of the guys, and then you've got I'm blanking on the women's division, but it's the heaviest division that the women are in as well. And that's who you have in this season of The Ultimate Fighter. You have who is it? You got the Robert Whitaker and Kelvin Gastelum. Are your coaches for this one. So you have, it's called Heavy Hitters, and I can see they're either 1 or 2 episodes in at this point, I believe. I think it's 2 episodes.
See, that fight, Whitaker and Gaston is outrageous. That's really good fight.
The interesting thing is it seems like mostly, at least recently, watching a lot of these seasons of The Ultimate Fighter, the coaches have been very friendly. Like there's been some seasons of The Ultimate Fighter where they have it so that you are you have to win your way in. Like you fight right out of the gate, and if you win, you make it to the house. If you lose, you're done. Then they have other ones where the cast is already set. They've got the 16 fighters, and these are the 16 that are going, and that's what they've done with this season. And so what they did is they split the guys and girls up. One group went with Whitaker, one group went with Gastelum, and it was boxing over here and ground game over here and stuff like that. And they're analyzing and they're grading all of the players so that they can pick them. And but the thing that's weird is like they're all friendly and stuff, and it takes me back to the days when you had Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, or you had I think the one about is Rashad Evans and Quentin Jackson.
Yeah.
Just because the amount of shit talking which for me shit talking it usually kind of bores me. I'm like, you're literally wasting your energy. Like, what are you doing? But man, that was a good scene. Like, that one was so entertaining.
Well, and there's times, and I guess said it before, where there's times where you can tell the other one kind of wanted to laugh.
Yeah, but but you can't.
Yeah.
But he's not gonna give him that credit. Like, there's not a chance.
Yeah, and that's what makes it so cool, because they could probably be friends.
They'd probably be best friends because they're so similar.
Yeah.
But that's probably also why they hate each other so much.
Yeah.
Is the fact that they're so similar. And that season featured somebody Daryl Schoonover. That was the season with Daryl Schoonover.
Yeah, Daryl's one of my coaches. Yeah, that's pretty cool that he stood up to Rampage.
Yeah.
Kind of face to face. That's my boy.
And speaking of Ortiz Liddell, they're fighting again.
Okay.
It's not UFC,
Bellator?
but they just and I don't think it's Bellator either. It's I mean it might as well be at this point. It's Golden Boy Promotions. So it's
whoa, okay.
It's what's his face is
De La Hoya?
Yeah, it's De La Hoya's.
Oh, okay.
But you're looking at a Chuck Liddell who is now 48 and a Tito Ortiz who is now 43. They first fought back in, and for me, what does Liddell have to prove at this point? Because this is the third time they fought, and Liddell has previously won both.
Yeah.
At 48 years of age, why?
I don't think he has anything to prove. I think he just wants to punch.
He just wants to beat the shit out of Tito
Yeah,
Ortiz.
I mean, one of those things. Yeah, we all, there's always that guy that punch him in the face.
Yeah, Tito Ortiz kind of seems to have one of those faces.
Yeah.
So yeah, this thing is coming up, I believe, towards the end of this year. But it's a Golden Boy Promotions, and they signed Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell, and it's gonna be. See, there's your photo right there between the two of them.
Giant heads.
So, I don't like. This is one of those ones that it can go good or go bad. So it's so because they're both so old.
Yeah, I mean,
which is funny for me because I'm up there near their age, so. But I'm not that far off. But then again, I'm not stepping into the
Yeah, you have fight years too. There's years that you've been fighting, and that's like double regular Canadian years.
Yeah, because if you go back to their season of the Ultimate Fighter, obviously the whole point is it's coach versus coach. You train your team, your guys move on to become the Ultimate Fighter, and then the whole point is those two coaches end up fighting. Hence, the last season was I'm already blanking. It was Daniel Cormier and Stipe Miocic. Which Daniel Cormier became only the second guy to hold two simultaneous belts at the same time.
Too, by the way.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And but it was during the season when it was Ortiz versus Liddell, when it was supposed to be their third fight, and Ortiz backed out, and Liddell was pissed. I mean, like they showed it on the show, and this might have been played up or whatever, but you can tell he's legitimately pissed off because he's telling Dana White, "I told you." Like, I told you this is why I didn't want to do this with him, because I knew his ass was going to back out. So, I mean, that right there might make this fight worth it, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I'm willing to pay for it, I guess.
Yeah.
Would be the big one. So, on that note, we will wrap up this edition of MMA Talk. We got you taking Till.
I got Till,
Till over Woodley simply because Till's nickname is the Gorilla, and Isaac runs Guerilla MMA. Again, it's located in Sunland Park. If you head on out, you take the I-10 exit here in El Paso. Sunland Park exit, just start heading west. When you get to the casino, the racetrack right there on the left-hand side, go to the right, and it's back in that way. And you can just Google Guerilla MMA. It'll pop up there. And you can also reach out to them on Instagram, Facebook, and the number
915-920-0517.
And on that note, we will see you guys before the next one, because the next one coming up, that's the big one. That's the Khabib Conor McGregor fight. And you know what the bitch is of that? The same night as Street Fight.
Oh, what?
I know. I'm gonna have to figure out what the hell I'm gonna do. So, all right.
You in the back?